Hey there, Yuris here, and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the amazing humans from the community world about their life journeys and learn from each other. And today we have a conversation with Beth McIntyre, a community director for Bevy and CMX, Joe Clover, travel writer, as Blake Ethridge once said, a lightning bolt of energy, passion, business focus, and creativity, and a person who impacted my professional life very much because of hiring me conducting an audit for CMX community without even knowing me well. So, hello, Beth.
Hello. Wow, what an introduction.
It's all about you, and it's you. And yeah, I know that you've recently came back from maternity leave, and I know that being a newborn parent is a life-changing experience. So, tell me, how has your life changed after having a baby?
Oh, okay. Let's get right into it. Wow. Okay. So this is going to be a bit of a surprising answer. Uh, I feel like having a baby was a little bit anticlimactic, which is really shocking. You go through this whole pregnancy, the world, your mind changes because you're about to have this baby and you think everything's going to change. And obviously, there's a lot of things that do change. In the moment, though, it was kind of like, okay, he's here. Now what? There were a couple of months in the beginning, you're just kind of on autopilot. It just felt very much like, okay, I did this thing and now he's here, but like what's next in a way? Like I'm just trying to figure this new thing out. I would say in the last few months. So going back to work, I was fortunate enough to take a 14-month parental leave.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Coming back to work over the last few months, that's really when I noticed, like, okay, this is different. I have a totally new identity. I'm not just an employee at my company anymore. I'm a mom with totally new priorities. My relationship with my partner has changed. My relationship with my family, my parents, my sister has changed. It's so I think it really in the last, when my son turned 1, that's when I was like, oh, okay, everything has changed. It was really more like hindsight. I saw that everything had changed.
So, what's next?
Oh my God. Well, it's the beginning of 2024. I've never really been a resolution person, but we decided this year we're going to make 2024 bingo cards. So I really like this idea because it's like actionable. We've both selected 24 things. We also made one for our baby. 24 things we're going to do in 2024. And some of them are really big, like travel somewhere new that we've never been before. Some of them are very small. One of mine is bake a cake because that's something I didn't do in 2023. Um, and then, yeah, it's kind of this nice, like, you actually get to tick a box when you've done something instead of this ambiguous thought or goal of resolution for 2024. It's like, yes, I did this. And I get to, I don't know if we'll daub it like actual bingo or if we'll have a check mark.
And what is the goal for your baby?
Well, I would love for him to say mama because 18 months later, still has yet to say mama. Um, I
Does
thought maybe
does
this would be the year he could
does
try sushi for the first time.
and say mama after trying it? Yeah.
That's right, because he'll be like, "Oh, you're amazing."
Does he know about that?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't know these goals yet. But I think he'll start, every day he has more cognitive ability and cognitive awareness. So soon we'll present to him his bingo card that we made on his behalf, and we can tell him like these are the things we hope for you. And then maybe next year he'll be more involved in the actual making of the cards.
How did you feel the first time you've tried sushi?
Oh, now that changed my life.
Okay,
I
now
remember
we're
I was,
talking.
yeah, I was maybe like 11 or 12, and my dad took me to this sushi place that had a train that went around the bar, and the train
Hmm.
had the plates on it. And he said, you're allowed to eat any of the things. It's just like not the black plates, because each plate has a different price point. The black plates were like very expensive. So I didn't have any of the black plates, but I had this stack of plates by the end that was so big. My dad still to this day, many years later, makes the joke about how much money he spent that day on sushi and how he had to take out a second mortgage of their house in order to afford to take me for sushi. And when I started dating, he would say, "Oh, I hope that they know how much money they're going to spend on dating you when they take you for sushi." So it's been an ongoing joke for my entire life since that day.
Did he mention it when you had a wedding?
I'm actually not married, but sushi would be a really fun wedding meal. Definitely. I would go to that wedding.
Got it. So, if we are already talking about your parents, so let's start from the beginning. Tell me about your parents. Who are they?
Wow. Well, my parents are incredible people. Um, they very early on in my life, my parents decided to pick up my older sister and I and move across the world. So my childhood was spent traveling around a lot. We lived in Nigeria for a couple of years,
Hmm.
and then we lived in London, in England for a couple of years. And since then, just continue to travel just so much. And I think one thing that I'm so grateful to my parents among the list that's very, very long of all the things I'm grateful for. One of the things is that energy around traveling and the kind of like why not energy. Why not live somewhere new? Why not, take our babies and move to a crazy country? Um, so I really love that. I got to grow up in that kind of energy household. Because I've definitely taken that into my life as well, traveling a lot.
When did you decide to become a travel writer?
Yeah, I had these big dreams that I was going to that was going to be my job.
Hmm.
That I wanted to write for a publication or, self-publish, and that was how I was going to make my money. When I first started traveling on my own, when I was 21, I started journaling. So I traveled on my own, uh, but by having a journal, I felt like I was never actually alone because I could kind of like talk to myself in a way. Um, and my journal quickly just became like rehashing funny stories and telling them not just reflections of things I had done, but, talking to my journal as if it was an audience. So the writing kind of came naturally. I decided to start publishing those journal entries, obviously, after editing them a little bit. Um, but yeah, so I think that was kind of naturally started. And then a recent trip we took in 2000 when I was 26, I don't know the years. I that was when I quit the job that I was in, and I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna build a website. I'm gonna do this full time." And it was really good, and I really enjoyed the writing part. But I'll say a huge part of the travel writing and like travel blogging was the social media aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take me very long to realize that that wasn't the thing for me. I realized that in order to make, full-time money at a full-time job, you need to spend full-time hours. And I wasn't really prepared to spend full-time hours like building a social media presence and um, learning that part of the game. So yeah, the travel writing thing kind of, slowed
It's
down.
vanished.
It just changed.
Did you ever think about continuing doing it? Just as hobby or something like that?
Well, I actually had a bit of a identity crisis when my partner and I got back from we traveled for 18 months in 2020 to 2016. Um, so we were gone for a really long time. I journaled that entire time. And then when we got back, uh, and just kind of started to live, quote, normal lives, unquote, um, I stopped journaling, and it felt like a really natural kind of end. I felt guilty that I wasn't journaling anymore because it had become such a huge part of my identity.
Hmm.
I think it was, yeah, when I was like 20, I dared myself to write something every single day. And I did that for 6 years, every single day, even if it was just like 3 sentences about what I have for breakfast or like 3 pages about an interaction I had. Um, so when I stopped journaling every day, I really felt this weird sense of guilt.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think I kind of realized that the journal had been my like companion for so long, my confidant. And I realized that that had been replaced with Michael, this, my partner in life, who like now stepped in as this companion and like the person I can tell stories to and the person I share my secrets with. So when I had that realization, I stopped feeling that like guilt about journaling, um, and felt a little better. But I will say something I've been doing is writing letters to my son,
Hmm.
just in certain moments of his life. I wrote a couple letters while I was pregnant, the day before he was born, on his birthday. So one day I hope that he can read those letters and kind of like a journal in a way, but for someone.
Did you prepare for writing them or you just did it?
Just did it. Actually, in my head, I'm like, I need to do one because he's just turned 18 months and I have lots to say about him right now.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, like writing what your mom think about what's going on with you and what's happening, what she feels, and like, yeah, it's a great idea. So what damn it, what
Milestone.
milestones do you have in your mind?
Well, I got the idea actually, the letter writing from my mom. She only wrote one, but it was when I was like 10 months old or something. And even just the little details, like I loved eating bananas. And she was like, oh my gosh, banana was my first word, you know? And she was like, I know how to make you happy because I'll just like bring out a couple of chopped up banana pieces. So, like,
Mm.
even just little things like that were just such a fun memory for her to relive, but then also for me to find out about myself. Um, yeah, well, he doesn't talk much, but when he does, I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. He talks a lot. He just doesn't speak English.
Okay, yeah, 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 I
Um,
got it.
yeah. So we have full conversations, but I'm speaking English and then he's speaking some form of gibberish.
Yiddish.
But he loves, that's right. He loves reading, loves pop-up books, really likes to dance.
Hmm.
And what else? I mean, he's just so sweet. He waves a lot. He loves to wave to birds and he waves hello world every morning. Oh my gosh, he's so sweet.
Talking about dancing, I saw a photo on Facebook where you were with your friends in a choreography room. It was 2007, it's another life. And the caption is Beth and many being foolish. So, how are you being foolish nowadays?
Well, I'll just say this is one of the reasons why I wish I could delete my presence on Facebook.
It's just one photo. Okay, five, I guess 5 photos. Yeah. So,
It's just so crazy that I have like no control over the images that are of myself on the internet. Anyway, that's a conversation for a different time. Um, Foolish. I mean, gosh, we listen to a lot of music in this house. Turn it up really loud because we live in a nice concrete apartment building and dance. There's a great song by a Canadian band called Mother Mother, and the song is called Dance and Cry.
hmm.
And there were a lot of times in my very early postpartum period where I felt like crying, but also was very happy. So didn't want to like wallow in sadness. So I would just turn that song up really, really loud and like dance and cry at the same time. Um, Milo was obviously involved. He enjoyed our dancing sessions. I don't know if that's foolish, but it's definitely a goofball moment.
What kind of crying? Dancing, I understand, but what kind of crying involved?
Just like exacerbated, like so much emotion that you don't know if you should dance or cry. So you kind of do both because you're like elated and exhausted. I highly recommend listening to the song really loud and just seeing what happens.
Is this something specific that can make you cry?
There was a time when like a lot of when before streaming services, when a really good commercial could make me cry. Again, for those Canadians out there, Tim Hortons commercials often often do it because they're just so wholesome and heartwarming, and they're all about being Canadian. So that definitely makes me cry. Nowadays, it's mostly things that Milo does, waving to me, hugging me, really simple stuff makes me cry.
Have you listened to Stuart McLean's stories?
Not a lot. I know definitely know of him, and I've heard a couple, but I wouldn't know off the top of my head.
I didn't know anything about him before Pat Cooney shared it with me, and now I'm just listening every story. So I feel like it's something you might like. So give it a try. And I want you love jokes. So where is your love for jokes come from?
Hmm. I'm not sure. When I was in high school, I went into theater and really loved theater. Loved the feeling of like being on stage and hitting a line and everybody laughing. Um, so I think that probably is where it stems from. I'm definitely not afraid to be the center of attention or on stage in front of people. Public speaking has never really been an issue, but I will say my joke telling has come in quite handy in the age of virtual meetings and virtual events because there have been many times where technical difficulties have happened and I have been flung out onto the virtual stage and need to keep people happy until the technical difficulties are resolved. So I've got a couple jokes in my back pocket for those situations.
Have you ever done stand up?
No, no, and I will not.
Why?
That's different. That's a different kind of joke. I think it takes a certain kind of person, and I'm amazed by them, and I'm not one of them.
Okay, so what kind of jokes do you like?
Mostly one-liner bad jokes, like, um, why do seagulls live by the sea? Because if they lived by the bay, they'd be bagels. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. Yeah, and but you know the fun thing that all my life I thought that seagulls is just for every gulls, and then
Oh,
I because I didn't know that, and then I understood. I was like seeing gulls flying around somewhere where there is no sea, and I was like, why seagulls flying somewhere where is no sea? And
yeah.
then somebody told me like, yes, there are seagulls because they are near the sea, and there are gulls because they are like everywhere. And I was like,
I
really?
didn't know that. I would
So
never, I would always call them a seagull. I would never be like, oh, there's a gull, a land
yeah,
gull.
land gulls, Steven Seagal. Okay, yeah. So we're going to a different type of joke. So, talking about being in the center of attention and doing public speaking, tell me more about the famous tiger shirt.
Uh, well, that was my first CMX summit. I knew I was going to be the MC. And so a couple weeks before I went shopping, I was like, I need some new clothes because this is a pretty big deal. It was a big deal in my life and in my career. And especially at, my position at CMX, I was excited to meet people for the first time as a community manager for the community. So I don't know. I love an animal print, like a print of animals. It's so good. And then I think that was a funny year because there was a woman who wore the same shirt as me. And she came up to me and she was like, oh my gosh. And we had this like twinning moment. And then the next year, I think I tweeted her or she tweeted me. And I was like, I'm going to wear it again. And she's like, I'm not. But I think I made it a thing more than it actually was.
That's how you understood that you will never be friends again. So on your Twitter, you wrote self-proclaimed celebrity. So tell me more about that.
Well, I think it's just that idea that I'm not afraid to be in the spotlight. I do love it. Um, that's that's one of the reasons why I really love community management, I think. Because there's this element of like you everybody in your community knows you. So that's a little bit of celebrity, and that's the kind of celebrity that I like. That a lot of people uh know my name, and that makes me feel really nice. I also love when I get to go to CMX Summit and people are excited to see me. Um, I'm also very excited to see people that I know and people who are in the community. But I think it's just really nice when people remember who I am and want to come talk to me just as much as I want to talk to them.
It would be weird if they didn't know, but yeah, I got it. And what is your favorite movie with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Ah. Oh, Catch Me If You Can with Tom Hanks. Oh, that's such a good movie.
It's fun. I was just reviewing some old movies and I saw this Catch Me If You Can like 5 times, like popping up here and there, but I didn't go to review it. And now I feel like I have to. But I remember it was really very fun movie. And yeah, it's just I got it. I got it.
Hmm. Hmm.
You wrote that you live in the incomparable Rocky Mountains in Canada and spend most of your free time in total awe of their majesty. So what do you love the most about them?
Oh my gosh, how big they are. Um, One of my favorite fun facts about the Rocky Mountains is that they're very young.
Hmm.
They're like teenagers in the mountain world. In Switzerland, the Alps, they're like grandparents. And in Morocco, the mountains, are grandparents. But in the Rockies, they're just like acne-ridden teenagers. And I think that image just makes me feel like so small. Um, where I used to live, like in the house that we used to live in, from my window, I could look out and see a mountain called Edith Cavell, named after a World War II nurse. And this mountain is so big. I actually don't know how tall it is. I'll have to get back to you. It's like over 3,000 meters.
Wow.
Um, so big. And anytime I was working and I would just feel like stressed, or I would send an email out with a spelling mistake, or I would send the wrong thing to someone or answer the wrong question, whatever it was, I would like look out at Edith Cavell, who was the best coworker. And she was like, none of this matters. Like, that's
Ooh.
right. Yeah, like, thank you. You're right. The world is so big and there are so many important things. And like spelling my name wrong at the end of an email is really not something
Yeah.
to like lose sleep over. So
Sounds like the best coworker ever.
she really was. Yeah.
Did you ever go on top of it?
No, it's a really difficult hike. I have friends who've been to the top, but I was never brave enough. I've been to mountains nearby and then got to look at her, which I think is just as good.
Sounds great. And coming back to your traveling experience, why did you decide to travel to Australia when you were 20?
Uh, it was I wanted to go somewhere. I
Hmm.
wanted to go somewhere far away, but it was my first trip alone. So I wanted to go somewhere that didn't have a huge culture shock. Like I was looking for English speaking, even the currency is like dollars. So it just felt like for a 20-year-old who was ready for a fun adventure, but like not too challenging. It felt like the perfect place to go. I was supposed to be there for like 3 or 4 months and I ended up being there for a year. And it was crazy. It was like we everybody I met was just someone just like me who wanted a fun adventure, a far away from home, wanted to make new friends, and wanted to have crazy stories to come back with. So, yeah, wow, what a highlight of my life. And then that just really like helped, grow my love for travel because I felt like I could do this, and it was not easy, but it was fun and really worth it.
But I feel like you already were experienced traveler.
I mean, I definitely had been to a lot of places under the safe wing of my mom and dad.
How has this travel impacted your life?
I have realized how simultaneously big and small the world is. How everybody everywhere is just very similar. We all just want to, you know, go to work and come home to our loved ones and take our kids to soccer and listen to music and eat good food and afford groceries. Like that's just what we all want everywhere, I think, everywhere in the whole world. Um, so that's something that I've that has really impacted me, just that perspective. Um, yeah, and that people are just so good everywhere you go. You can find good people.
But it still sounds a little bit different, having crazy adventures and going to the same grocery shop. It's like still a little bit of like different points. So what to choose? Crazy adventures or going to the same grocery shop?
I mean, you gotta eat.
You can eat in a wild, just catching
That's true.
birds or something like
You're
that.
right. You could catch birds and eat them. I had a friend who passed away, and she said she was very young, and she said she hated when people said that life is too short because
Mm,
life is the longest thing we know. And the idea behind this like life is too short thing was that you have to live every day like it's your last, and you have to live every day to the fullest. And she hated that because she was like, we can't go to Disneyland every single day. You have to go to work. You have to go to the grocery store. So her whole philosophy and mindset was you have to find the things in every day and like through the mundane. Where's the crazy adventure in the grocery store? You have to like find those things every single day. And then obviously go to Disneyland every once in a while and live your life to the fullest. But I really like that advice, that perspective.
I feel like going to a grocery store and talking to an old lady or somebody you don't know might be really crazy adventure because you never know what happens then. And I feel like just
It's
talking to
true.
people is an adventure. So you can always choose your way. You can be on your own, listening to the music or to a podcast or whatever, and ensure that you don't see and hear anyone around you, or you can still have them. And I
It's
wonder
true.
what is your perspective? Like you told that you like it, but how do you feel? How do you felt about this expression that life is too short, and like how do you feel about it now?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that it you have to find the small thing in every single day to like give yourself meaning and purpose and fun. Um, I yeah, yeah, and I think the funny thing. So in the early days of my relationship with Michael, um, we lived in a van for a really long time together. We traveled around Europe, and it was so cool. And I had a lot of friends. Everybody in my life said, "Oh, you can live in a van together. Like you can share this small space for so long. You can get through anything. Like your relationship, you're going to be fine forever because you did this thing." And I felt really confident. And then it wasn't actually until we like came back to Canada, we settled down a little bit, we got us like a place, moved in, and then had to do that kind of mundane stuff, where like you go to work and you have to share chores and someone's doing the laundry and someone's cleaning the bathroom. And that was like the kind of, yeah, the mundane of everyday life. And I found that harder because when we lived in a van, sure, it was a small space, but like we had no responsibilities. And like the hardest thing we had to do each day was just decide where we were going to drive. Like which ocean spot are we going to sleep on tomorrow? So we had no reason to be upset or run down or, depleted. But when you get into that kind of every day, going to work, something happened at work, it made me angry. Now I'm bringing that energy home. And how am I dealing with my partner? And you have these expectations for each other and whatever. So, like, I found that to be more challenging. So I think just that idea of like, hey, every day you find something fun, the like goofball part of you, whether it's listening to music really loud or choosing a crazy, produce item at the grocery store that you've never tried, trying something new. Yeah, I think it's just nice to be intentional about that.
What was the craziest product you've recently tried?
A pomelo, they're really big and like a grapefruity orange kind of thing. I didn't love the texture. I really liked the taste.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that was definitely a fun one.
And if you were to choose grapefruit or pomelo, what would you choose?
Oh, grapefruit, hands down.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Are you getting emotional when you are tired?
Yes.
How Michael feels about that?
Uh, I think I'm so grateful for him. And living in a van. There were times where, like, I think he knew me better than I knew myself, and vice versa. Um, we'd be driving and I would say something or roll my eyes, and Michael would say, "We should stop and have a sandwich." And I was like, "I don't need a sandwich. I'm not hungry at all." And we'd stop anyway, and he'd make sandwiches. And then after I ate a sandwich, I was like, "Oh, I was being a bit of a bee back there. Sorry." Same thing with like tiredness or when Michael would roll his eyes at me, I'd say like, "Why don't we just pop in here for a coffee?" He's like, "I don't need a coffee." Like, "Hey, let's just do it anyway." And then of course, everything's better after you have that. So I think we both learned that you just have to have a snack in your pocket at all times.
It sounds like somebody from Sneakers commercial were watching you because you are not you when you are hungry. So I guess like yeah, it's all life. So you should tell them about that. I feel like
That's right. Saving relationships, snacks.
tell me the story of you and Emma starting a street party in Siem Reap.
Well, back to not minding being the spotlight on me. Um, yeah, we had heard about this street. And when we got there, I can't remember what it was called, but when we got there, there's lights hung up along the entire like length of the street. And every single place on the street is a bar, every single one. And in the street are picnic tables. And you like go into the bar to get your drinks, and the drinks are served in plastic buckets because why not? Um, and I think, I don't know, like we got there, it wasn't like it, oh my gosh, it was called Pub Street, of course, because it's lined with pubs. When we got there, it was dark, the party kind of started, but there were a lot of people just sitting down. We also found as we walked, there was this moment on the street where you could hear the music from one bar, and then you walked, and then you heard the music from the other bar. Like there was this weird moment. You could be like half in and half out of different musics. So she danced in one music, and I danced in the other music. We were only like 3 or 4 feet away from each other. And started a dance party. I think it often only takes one person to start dancing to make other people feel comfortable dancing as well. And it was a good time.
How many people were dancing when you were leaving?
Oh God, I'm really bad at knowing how many people are around. Maybe 5,000. I don't know, but it was definitely like shoulder to shoulder on the street. There were people dancing on picnic tables. So it was, yeah, it was big.
It sounds like exactly as I say that way you start a revolution. So
That's right. A coup.
have you ever started any street parties since that time?
No, I don't think I have. I
Time
don't
to
even know if
do,
I've been to a street party since then.
time to start a new one.
You're right. I'll add that to my bingo card for 2024.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it always works. So, are you still calling your to-do lists for Tuesdays to-do lists?
Yes.
Why? Why to-do?
I think that's just one of those like do little things that make you smile. Even a to-do list can make you giggle, you know?
Exactly. What is your favorite meme with you?
My favorite what?
Favorite meme with you included?
Oh my gosh. I feel like there's a lot of memes that have been made about me. I can't think of one.
I liked very much this meme where it's like written, Beth, the new caffeine alternative.
Yeah, that's a good one.
How do you restore your energy level?
I love to design cross stitch patterns and make cross stitches. So
Hmm.
it's a pretty grandma hobby. Um, but I like to, yeah, I have an app on my iPad where I can design like flower wreaths and different sayings and stuff, and then um, cross stitch them out for people.
What do people usually say when you do that?
Well, I ask people what they think would make a funny cross stitch. So, and they're pretty tongue in cheek. I don't know if I can say any of them here. A lot of them swear. A lot of them are not appropriate for work conversation. But I really love the idea of like a swear word or like a raunchy phrase in the middle of like a really beautiful, dainty floral wreath. This like combining of two kind of genres. So I always ask friends, what would you think is funny? And then they tell me, and I design it without letting them know what it looks like. And then I stitch it for them. And I've never had a sad recipient yet. Everyone loves them for the most part.
I can imagine. And how do you feel about swearing?
I think there's a time and a place. This is something that we talk about because we have a baby now. We have to raise a human. I think swearing is fun and swearing can add a lot of color to a story and a conversation. But using swearing for like negative or talking about someone or to someone using swears is not very nice, not very kind. So I think that's how we're gonna approach swearing with our kid.
I asked different people about this question, and I heard a lot of answers in that way that if you are swearing from time to time, you can kind of taste what kind of people around you. Like, are those your people or not? And it's fun. It's fun when somebody says that they like swearing, like appropriately, kind of, and then they in this company with somebody new and like, should I try one word or not? Like, and then like I try one word. And, oh yeah, here are my people. Okay.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and that'll be a whole new thing with parents as we meet parents through our kids' schooling. Just the moment where if you swear in front of their kid or them, like what's gonna happen?
Oh, it's so fun. What did you love the most while running the Community Corner podcast?
I loved having these conversations with people. It I was really sad when I kind of had to make the decision that it was over. And I don't know if I'll pick it up again. It was a ton of work, but yeah, just having conversations with people that I wouldn't otherwise have a chance to chat with. I always prepared a handful of questions before our calls. Uh, Typically, I would only answer one or ask one or two, and then we would just kind of go off on a tangent and dive deeper into something they talked about or an answer they gave. And it all just felt so organic and so fun to have these chats with people. So that's something that I loved the most.
Why 15 minutes?
Well, I'm not a podcast listener. I'll tell you that right now. And I thought that the timing, a lot of people are now working from home, so they don't have that commute. Even if they do have a commute, it's typically kind of short or maybe, 30 minutes or something. So I thought it would be a nice kind of tidbit. You can listen to it while you're getting ready in the morning, or you listen to it while you're, emptying the dishwasher, making your coffee, or putting the laundry on. It was just a really kind of quick soundbite for kind of like a low commitment amount of time to listen to a podcast.
What is that you prepared much more questions that you really asked?
Why didn't I?
Was it like that?
Oh, no. Well, yeah, I guess I always tried to prepare 3 or 4 questions. Um, but yeah, typically only asked 2 of them, but then like organic questions came up in the conversation. So I always ended up asking 4 or 5 or 6, but it was rarely the ones that I had prepared.
Did you ever think about making those conversations longer?
No.
Okay, got it. That's how it works. And still, coming back to your travel writer career, would you like to continue it sometimes? I'm not talking just about travel writing in general.
I don't know. I think that like energy of storytelling is I get that. I kind of like scratch that itch in other ways at work, but also like I mentioned the letters to my kid. Like storytelling about him and where we're going. Um I also dabble in video editing. So I have started to, well, not started, I've been doing for a long time making videos. So about my trips. So I think that that is also kind of scratching that like storytelling itch for the trips that I've been taking. So I don't know if I would go back to travel writing.
So like more dynamic content.
Yeah, yeah, just different.
Do you like biking? Weird
No.
question.
Yes. Oh my gosh, love it. So neither of these bikes are mine. These are both Michael's. My bike is somewhere else. Oh my gosh. The best decision we ever made was we bought a little single seat chariot trailer for Milo in like May last year or June. And we just got it off Facebook Marketplace. It was the best thing we ever bought. And he was quite small at the time, so we had to buy this like fancy in seat insert thing. And should we just wait until he's big enough or should we just use this thing? And I was like, hey, let's just spend the money. We're gonna put this insert in. Like, I want to go biking this weekend. And it was amazing. I can't think of a like I don't think 2 days went by without us going for a bike ride. We live in a city with really beautiful rivers and river pathways. So we were just and really close to them. So we just like hop on the river pathway, find ourselves at a patio for a pint, or meet up with friends and go somewhere, go for a picnic. Yeah. Oh my gosh, biking, it's the best.
So while doing biking, what do you like the most of it?
Oh, I mean, I don't love going fast. I'm not like an adrenaline junkie at all, at all, at all. So it's not even like, yeah, there's no speed.
No stunts, no stunts.
No
Okay.
stunts. No. I think just like, I mean, especially on a river pathway, you're not near any cars. So you just get this like beautiful nature scene and it's quiet because your bikes are quiet and you can even like chat. I always get the song Bicycle Race by Queen stuck in my head. So you can like sing to yourself. And then you just get to go beautiful places that are connected to bike lanes. And often bike lanes take you to beautiful places because that's where people want to bike to. So,
Do you have picnics while biking?
yes, definitely.
And I still can't understand why are those Michael's bikes behind you? It's your office. Like,
Oh no, this is our living room.
okay,
We
that's
live in
how
a
it
very
works.
small apartment. Yes, I'm in the main area right now. So I've said, don't come out because I'm doing a podcast.
That's how it works. Okay, so if you are going for a picnic, what do you usually take with you?
Gotta have like a pre-mixed cocktail or mocktail in a can. There's a great local distillery that does non-alcoholic gin and tonics. Ooh, they're so good. So gotta have a couple of those. Maybe some like cheesies. Love cheesies. Definitely snacks for Milo, or else he'll become irate. Mm, Sunscreen, sunglasses, a hat.
Sounds like a great recipe for a great time.
I know how to have a great time. That's for sure. That's something that I want people to walk away from this. I want them to be like, wow, that Beth, she sure knows how to have a great time.
I feel like people already know that, because if somebody still don't know, just go read some of Beth's blogs, and yeah, you will definitely understand, because the moment I read about eating a developing duck embryo, I was like, yeah, exactly. Beth know how to have a good time. By the way, how did it taste?
It was remarkably good. Yeah, it's surprising. I didn't want it to be because I really wanted to be grossed out, but it's a delicacy and it's like salty and oily and delicious.
What was something you tried that looked good but didn't taste good?
I don't know if I have an answer to that exact question, but I can tell you about the time I ate a tarantula
Oh,
It
wow.
did not look good though. And it also did not taste good. I split it. There were four of us who like dared each other to eat a fried tarantula, and I got the butt. Um, and it was like sand, and it was it was really gross. But on that same trip, um, we, because we were in Vietnam and there's all sorts of food vendors, and a lot of them serve like really nice food, and a lot of them are there for tourists to like serve tarantulas and stuff. There's one guy who was just selling pan-fried beetles, and he would pan fry them in salt and vinegar and then give you this like big baggie of salt and vinegar beetle chips. And they were delicious. And Emma, my dance party friend, um, we ordered a bag and we ate all of them. And we'd had a couple drinks that night and we ate the whole bag. And then we were so sick the next day. But they were delicious.
Yeah, you can never trust, you know, if somebody gives you a lot of, yeah, some crazy stuff. But
If someone gives you a bag of beetles,
yeah, and
yeah,
or fried tarantula, it depends. It
yeah,
depends.
might be hard on your stomach.
Did you try cockroaches?
No, I have
Worms?
not. No,
Oh, so way to go. Okay.
just
Have a lot of things to try yet. So
I still have I still have room on my 2024 bingo card. So it's shaping up to be a crazy year.
got it. Bess, I really wish to have the sky as the limit to the conversation, but time is the limit. So let's jump to the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Street party or home party?
Home party.
Staying hungry or staying foolish?
Staying foolish.
What are your favorite color and song?
Favorite color? Purple. Favorite song? Dance and Cry by Mother Mother.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
Oh, I'd love to be able to speak and understand every language in the world.
Who do you learn from in the community world? Name just one person.
Erica Cool.
Name two people whose community life journey you are happy to hear about. God damn it, happy to hear about. What am I talking about? Yeah. Who should I reach out and invite to have this conversation?
Ooh, Cassie Mays from Atlassian. I'd like to learn more about her. And Blake Ethridge, the meme maker.
Is there one question that sorry, something happening with my mouse already. So is there one question that I definitely should have asked you but didn't?
No.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so I'll prepare more questions next time. And by the way, just the beginning, I still have questions and I'll have even more. So just get ready for the volume 2. And thank you very much for this conversation. I always wanted to know more about you since the moment we started kind of working together, let's say. Yeah, and because I was like, oh my God, Beth is such an amazing person. I really want to know more about her. And then I started to discover, I found your traveler's blog and I found all of these amazing things about you. And yeah, you have so much energy. You're so positive person. I really like how you are being you in the community world. So, and today getting to know even more about you, just such a pleasure for me. So thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you so much, Yuri. It's been a real pleasure. I love this industry so much, and I love this work that we all get to do. So yeah, and I'm really appreciative that you thought of me and asked me all these wonderful, thoughtful questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bess, and see you in the community world.